If you're watching this video, it's probably because you're interested in my wedding photography and you'd like to see an example of an album, but we don't have an opportunity to meet together in person for me to show you this album. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is show you this album, kind of what the pages look like, as well as the construction of the album. The albums that I provide come with a beautiful box. And there's a ribbon here to help you get the album out. Nice velour interior. And this will obviously keep dust and other things from getting to your precious album. This is your first family heirloom. And what I typically do is I'll put the bride and groom's name on the outside. Not necessary. There's other colors. I prefer black simply because it's simple and doesn't detract from the beauty and the artistry of the album itself. It's very well made. This is leather, obviously with a backing inside to keep it stiff. Bound very nicely to last for many generations. The inside starts with a simple black blank area, and then we start with a single page, and again I'll put the bride and groom's name and the date of the wedding, and some kind of a photo typically that signifies a day. It might be their hands together with the ring, with the bouquet. There's a lot of different things. In this particular wedding, this was where the reception was going to be, not inside but outside of that, and that morning it was misty, and captured this photo, and they really liked it, so I used it for their first page. Now, as you can see, the individual pages are stiff, and they're 10 by 10. Now, these are actually 10 by 10 photos on photo paper that is then laminated to these this lamination of board. You've got I think a plastic middle board, and then paper board, and then you actually have your photo on top of that. Now, these are permanent. However, they can be replaced if something were to happen. So you were to spill something on this particular page and it needed to be replaced. That can be done, and it's not too terribly expensive. As you can see, each page is really a collage. Now, in this case, I photographed the bride getting ready for the wedding. This was when she was getting her hair done, and then a little bit after. And the background image that I use simply is her hair. And that's one thing that I do, is as I'm photographing the wedding, I think about pictures that I need for the background. Each page, unlike the albums that were out 25, 30 years ago, this is not a collection of 12 or 18 or 24 photos. Typically, I'm putting 3 to 4 photos per page, sometimes fewer, sometimes a great deal more. And again, here the background photo, I believe, is the flower girl's little basket, and then this is just a collection of the photos from the bridal party on the ladies' side, on the bride's side. Now, something to keep in mind: most photographers use a template. And what the template does is it gives them a quick way to drag and drop photos into a prearranged setting, a prearranged setup, a template again. This might possibly look like a template. It's not. But clearly this is not. These are individually chosen photographs, arrangements, placements. And you can see the background photo. One thing that's nice about these albums is there's very, very little space between the two sides. You can even have it go across, have a photo go across, particularly as a background image. I wouldn't run it through somebody's, the front of their face, but it can be used for things like this. And as you can see, these are custom laid. I choose the border. In some cases it's black, like these. In some cases it's white, like these, to make them stand out, and then a drop shadow to make them stand out even more. And this is an entirely different thing with the film look. Here's the rings on the pillow as the background. And you can see in this page I really wanted to highlight this photo, so I was able to just drop the entire thing in there and not compete anything else with it. Put some other photos on the other side, starting furthest away and gradually getting closer to the beautiful bride. Now I won't show you every page, or I will very quickly. Again, when I was in the church, I'm looking for background photos. I looked for the stained glass was a great opportunity. Some of these obviously I leave as color, some of them I make black and white. In this case I actually did a selective color. Most of it's black and white except for the petals. You probably wouldn't even notice the petals in this photo if I hadn't have done that. But this is a 30-page album. Very commonly, they range from a fair amount smaller. They can get bigger. I don't know exactly what the limit is, but I haven't found it yet. The one thing you don't want to do, as you see me starting to want to do it, is to take a fingernail into the edges. These pages will last, again, these will last for generations properly taken care of. The one thing you don't want to see is people sticking their fingernails in to turn them. That being said, I've seen these in studios as demo albums that have been there, looked at almost daily by people who are using their fingernails. They've been there for years and they're still standing up very well. You just start to see a little wear on the edges from where people are using their fingernails. The average wedding album in a family for generations will not be opened and looked at as much as those demo albums in the studio. So these are very, very well built. Lifetime quality. Another thing is, these are, like I said, these are 10 by 10. They're on high quality photo paper, but I can still do this. Now, my fingers aren't exactly loaded, heavily greasy, but they are, I didn't just clean them, and I'm perfectly willing to do this. It's because these are also sprayed. They're sprayed with an anti-stick, or keep the grease off of them. They're also sprayed with or coated with a UV protectant. It might not be spraying. Okay, you can see some other frames that I might do. These I put little frame borders on. This are ripped edge. It went very well with that photo, using a background of the bride and groom when they were much younger at a church camp. You see, I can arrange these however I want because I don't use a template. I tried using a template once because it would save me a ton of time. But I felt handcuffed, so I have stuck with this, and people really seem to like the custom look. And again, you get a little dust on there or something, you can just wipe it off. Probably better to use a soft cotton cloth. But again, this is my demo album. And you can see the kinds of things that I do to make these very custom. Okay? And we'll just kick through the remaining pages. And just my logo in the back. It's not a major part of the album because it's not about me. Okay? So you get an idea of how these look, how they're built, and there are less expensive albums out there. I'm grabbing a couple here. There are things like this, okay? It's more of a cardboard type cover. And whoops. These are, again, these are 10 by 10. There's nothing fancy in terms of how they're made. And this is just a paper board. Now it is a 10 by 10, high quality photograph. But really, this is not going to last a lifetime or generations. Okay, this is from a senior portrait session of 2 girls who were graduating that year. Okay, this is a fair amount less expensive, but in reality a lot of the cost is labor, is putting together the pages, organizing, getting the right photos in the right place, and then working with the subjects. In the case of the wedding party, it's, oh, okay, I don't want that one there, how about a different one? And we spend a fair amount of time designing the album together. Even if they're remote, we can do that over the internet. I can show them the pages and they can make comments. One bride did say to me, I love it the way it is. I said, no, come on over, we're going to go through it, we're going to look at what you didn't put in. And we'll go from, you know, and we did end up making some changes. Now, I only brought this book out. Obviously, this is not an album. This is the type of book that a lot of photographers are starting to use now. Coffee table book, you know, usually, not always, a slip cover of sorts. You can see what happens to that over time. This I would only recommend for a very large album, in which case you're really not saving any money. Because you can see the kind of pages. It's not really photo paper. It is press paper. It's obviously much easier to tear, to damage. This even has a little dent in it. Still very, very nice. If somebody was going to go 60 pages or more, and they didn't want it to be, you know, huge and heavy, this might be the way to go, but I would tell them that they're likely to have to replace it in a number of years. Anyway, I hope you hope that's helpful and informative. Again, this is the album that I typically provide, and I stand by it.